Hi, hello. Welcome to the episode of Isaiah's Newsstand. It's your host, Isaiah Edwards. The date is April the 26th, 2026. Hopefully, this episode finds you well, in good spirits and high hopes. As for me, I'm doing pretty good. Happy Sunday. Hopefully, it's been a fun day for you. As for me, it's been nice. It's been chill. It's been pretty relaxed. We got up a bit earlier, which, kind of nice in its own way, I suppose. I was a bit too slow to rise and get myself together to go to the grocery store, but we did around the afternoon time. And get in, get out, pretty easy. Come home, get all the groceries put up, get myself together for the gym, do about an hour stint at said gym. Overall went well. I really do love the weekends because they're still like lower turnout, so it's not as busy in there, which I like. So it's nice to get a good workout in there. Didn't go as hard as yesterday, but overall pretty good. Came back home, had my stretch, had my snack, and I was getting pretty tired. It's the middle of the day, so I was like, let's go ahead and take a little nap, and did that. And I woke up, and it was one of those naps where it was like overall a solid nap, but I just woke up and I'm like, I'm still tired, but I can't fall back asleep, so I should get up. So I got up and like literally proceeded to drink a Monster and like, I don't know, have a couple little treats to kind of like wake me up. Overall I feel like I'm here, I'm connected, I'm locked in. But yeah, a bit of a slow wind up post nap. But yeah, we got our news together. So let's go ahead and do our startup and let's get into the news. All right. First story comes from CBS News. At least 16 dead in strikes across Ukraine and Russia on Chernobyl anniversary. Strikes across Ukraine, Russian occupied territory, and Russia killed at least 16 people, authorities said, as the 40th anniversary of the Chernobyl nuclear disaster prompted fresh warnings about the risks posed by attacks near the plant during Russia's more than 4-year invasion of its neighbor. The death toll from Russian drone and missile strikes on the city of Dnipro rose to 9. Regional head Alexander Hanza said Sunday. One man was killed in a Ukrainian drone strike on the port city of I'm gonna be fucking this one up. Sevastopol in Russian-occupied Crimea. Moscow installed, authorities said Sunday. Russia annexed the peninsula from Ukraine in 2014, a move that most of the world considered illegal, and has used it as a staging and supply point during the war. Leonid Peshinknik, the Russian-installed governor in Ukraine's Luhansk region, of which Russia earlier this month said it had taken full control, a claim denied by Ukraine, said 3 people were killed in an overnight Ukrainian drone strike on a village. After reporting 2 people were killed in the early hours of Saturday. Ukraine did not comment on either attack, which could not be independently verified by the Associated Press. Excuse me. The latest strikes came after a woman was killed in a Ukrainian drone attack on Russia's Belgorod broader region, according to local authorities. Ukrainian forces also struck an oil refinery in Yaroslavl, deep inside Russian territory, Ukraine's general staff said Sunday. The strike sparked fires at the facility, which processes 15 million tons of oil a year and produces gasoline, diesel, and jet fuel for the Russian military. Russia did not immediately comment. Let's see here. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky marked the anniversary of Chernobyl's nuclear disaster to warn that Russian attacks risk repeating history. Through its war, Russia is once again bringing the world to the brink of a man-made disaster. Russian Iranian Shaheeds regularly fly over the plant, and one of them struck the confinement last year. He wrote on Facebook, "The world must not allow this nuclear terrorism to continue, and the best way to force Russia to stop its reckless attacks." I mostly just wanted to, read this article to focus on some of the strikes that have happened, over the weekend. I really didn't even clock the Chernobyl thing, even though it's kind of been in the news a bit throughout the week, just because of the anniversary. But, worth mentioning, of course. Obviously very sad, very unfortunate. This war has been going on for over 4 years. It's one of those things that has kind of just faded to the backbeat a bit because there's just been so many conflicts in the Middle East that I feel like it draws focus, as well as, there's stuff in, Sudan and, other regions as well. But, all the while this has been going on, and we had some peace talks at some point, but those have kind of just evaporated, gone to nothing, and beat just kind of keeps on going. But speaking of conflicts, we're gonna go to Colombia. Let's go ahead and move on to our next story from CNN. Highway bombing in Colombia kills at least 14 amid a wave of attacks. At least 14 people were killed and at least 38 wounded, including 5 children, after a bomb tore apart a busy road in southwestern Colombia, according to local authorities. The incident was part of a wave of terror attacks this weekend, Colombian officials also said, as deadly violence resurges in the country. An explosive device was detonated on the Pan American Highway in the El Tunel sector of Cabillo? We're going to say Cabillo, in an indiscriminate attack against the civilian population, said Cuaca, I'm sorry if I'm fucking that up, Lo siento. Cuaca Governor Octavio Guzman in a post on X. Guzman later added in an update that Colombia's Minister of Defense, Pedro Sanchez, was at the scene of the explosion to help coordinate rescue efforts. Authorities are initiating a national-level security council to address the serious situation, the governor said. Video published on social media showed the aftermath of the explosion, with a deep crater blown in the center of the road. Mangled cars, trucks, and buses covered in dust and debris lay around the site of the explosion, along with the bodies of its victims. "We are facing a terrorist escalation that demands immediate responses," Guzman said, issuing an urgent call to national authorities to guarantee security. Authorities also received reports of violent incidents elsewhere, including in El Tunel, El Tambo, Coloto, Papayan, Gushané, I'm sure I'm fucking that one, and Mercaderes, and Miranda, in what General Commander of Military Forces of Colombia, Hugo Alejandro Lopez Barreto, described as a wave of attacks. Colombia's armed forces have blamed the highway bombing on dissident factions of a defunct leftist militant group, the Revolutionary Armed Forces of Colombia, or FARC, led by Nestor Greggio. We're gonna say, I'm sure I'm once again, my bad. Vera Fernandez, a militant leader, better known by his nom de guerre. Ooh, I got that one right. Ivan Mordisco. FARC laid down its arms in 2016 and eventually disbanded after a peace agreement ended over 50 years of war with the Colombian government, a conflict that killed over 220,000 people, or 220,000, and displaced some 5 million Colombians. However, some members of the militant group refused to engage in the peace process from the start. These dissident fighters, which include splinter groups who fight amongst themselves, have continued a low-level insurgency in some rural parts of Colombia. Lopez Barreto said at a press conference that a wave of attacks took place in the Cauca and Valle del Cauca departments on Saturday, blaming the criminal structures of FARC dissidents led by Ivan Mordisco. Over 2 days in the departments of Cauca and Valle del Cauca, the 26 terrorist actions have occurred that have affected our civilian population, Lopez started, adding that this series of attacks is a response to the sustained pressure the Colombian government has exerted on these groups' criminal operations. Colombian President Gustavo Petro has called for the maximum worldwide pursuit of this narco-terrorist group, which he also linked to Ivan Mordisco. Those who attacked and killed 7 civilians and wounded 17 more in Cajibillo, many of them indigenous, are terrorists, fascists, and drug traffickers, Petro wrote on X. The attack came hours after Petro's visit to Venezuela alongside Colombia's military top brass, where he announced with acting President Delcy Rodriguez that the two countries had agreed to jointly combat criminal groups along their shared border, one of the longest in the region, stretching more than 1,370 miles. This was a pretty big development in Colombia. Obviously very sad to see so many people, killed and hurt in a bombing. It's essentially at this point, this is something that I would define as like actual factual narco terrorism. It's not some guy in a boat that you don't know exactly what they're doing and you're just saying, hey, we're just going to blow them up. It's like, no, we can clearly see this is an action that is like, hey, this is a violent action on, innocent people. And, we're trying to stop that. We're trying to combat that. So obviously that's something I can get behind in terms of Colombian government, trying to crack down on that shit. But anyway, let's move on to our next story. It is from NBC News. Actually, a thorough update on the Washington correspondent dinner, the shooting there, the shooter. Let me go ahead and take a water break because we're going to read all of this. I feel like it's just better because it has more or less a whole profile on the guy in here, as well as just laying down exactly what happened. So let's just buckle up and do a little readathon. All right, from NBC News. Suspect in White House Correspondents' Dinner shooting wrote of targeting Trump administration. The California teacher and engineer accused of opening fire outside the White House Correspondents Association dinner believed it was his duty to target Trump administration officials, according to a note he sent his family members about 10 minutes before the Saturday attack. Cole Thomas Allen, 31, who lives in the Los Angeles suburb of Torrance, is the armed suspect federal authorities subdued near the packed ballroom at the Washington Hilton, where President Donald Trump and other White House officials gathered with journalists. A federal official familiar with the case told NBC News. Now, I want to take a quick aside here before I forget, before we get into like the actual meat of this shit. But I feel like not necessarily the spin, but what people on the right, on the MAGA end are trying to like get out of this and milk out of this. They're like, man, thank God Donald Trump is actually trying to like make a better, bigger ballroom so we can have better security and blah, 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 blah. And it's like, motherfucker, what are we talking about here? He just literally just wants to reshape the White House in his image as much as he can. That's all that is. Like, can we stop doing this thing where he was trying to have some fucking foresight against shit like this? Like, come on now. Like, can we be real? But hey, I get it. You got to try to get something out of nothing whenever you can. So hey, they came for you. So you're doing something about it, right? I don't know, whatever. Anyway, let's continue. Allen was armed with a shotgun, handgun, and knives when he rushed the security checkpoint and ran towards the ballroom where the black tie dinner was being held, authorities said. He exchanged gunfire with law enforcement and was tackled to the ground. Just moments before the attack, Allen sent family members a note apologizing to his parents, colleagues, students, bystanders, and others for what he was about to do, according to a transcript of some of Allen's writings provided to NBC News by a senior administration official. I don't expect forgiveness, Allen wrote. Again, my sincere apologies. In the note, Allen criticized Trump without mentioning him by name. He wrote about lax security at the hotel, saying he had expected more, which I think is like kind of an interesting note. I feel, and this is just something I was kind of thinking about, right? Because I get that you can come in and be like, man, I can't believe they're letting me get away with this, da 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 da. But then you see in the moment where it happens, I've been watching clips and things like that, like, he's able to get in, he rushes in, starts blazing whatever, starts trying to pop off, but immediately in the section of the building where he was at, where he was trying to get in, he was being confronted. Then you see Trump escorted out, him, Melania, a whole flank of motherfuckers, with body armor, all the shit, they're fucking there. Also, at the same time, they're escorting out, like, actual members of his cabinet. Like, it is all very fucking quick. Like, just, like, they descend on that shit. So, I think that there's always this level of mid-maxing when it comes to security, and this isn't me saying like, oh, we actually do have really great security. No, we don't. Obviously, there's been lax on this shit. Take it back to the time he took one in the fucking ear. But I think that this is always a situation of like, hey, we want to have enough security that we know everyone we want to protect are going to be safe and da da da, but we don't want it to be so much security that like people can't actually move and flow through a place, and it's highly inconvenient and it's gumming up the works. I think that's always a conversation that is happening, and that then breeds exploitable situations. Sure, but I mean, I do feel like in the situation, like, nah, Secret Service did what they were supposed to do on this one. And like, but who knows? I mean, this is only what, day, was it 2? So we could actually break this down, and I could look like a fucking fool. But anyway, he also described his expected rules of engagement, writing, administration officials, not including Mr. Patel, they are targets prioritized from highest ranking to lowest. He appears to be referring to FBI Director Kash Patel. I don't really get, I'm assuming that that's a dig at Kash, whatever, but like, I mean, whatever. He's just saying like, this is what he's trying to do, whatever. So let's continue. Later he added, I experience rage thinking about everything this administration has done. Sorry, I got a little piece of, nut in my mouth, if I'm being honest, trying to handle that while I'm talking. The senior administration official said that Allen's brother contacted the New London Police Department in Connecticut when he received the note. The New London Police Department confirmed being contacted around 10:49 p.m. Saturday, just over 2 hours after the shooting, by an individual who expressed concern about the incident that occurred at the White House Correspondents Association dinner earlier this evening. Police contacted federal law enforcement, and the caller was interviewed by authorities. Allen's sister told the Secret Service and Montgomery County Police after the shooting that her brother had a tendency to make radical statements, and he referred to a plan to do something to fix the issues with today's world, the senior administration official said. Acting Attorney General Todd Blanche told NBC News earlier on Sunday that law enforcement authorities believe he took a train from Los Angeles to Washington, D.C. Blanche said on Meet the Press that authorities believe the suspect traveled by train from Los Angeles to Chicago and then Chicago to Washington, D.C., where he checked into the hotel where the Correspondents' Dinner was at in the last day or two. The suspect was not shot, but was taken to a local hospital, is expected to be charged in federal court on Monday in a press conference shortly after the attack. Trump called the suspected shooter a whack job and a lone wolf. He also added the word thug was thrown in there. He can't help that. He loved that. He loved that shit. You doing any kind of criminal activity, especially when you might be a little brown, you're a thug. He loves throwing that up there. Public records and interviews show that Allen was a trained engineer who once interned for NASA and participated in the Nerf Club and Christian Fellowship at his prestigious California University, before more recently developing video games and working as a part-time teacher. Allen attended Pacific Lutheran High School in Gardena, California, where he was known for his inquisitiveness and intellect. A former volleyball teammate told NBC News. While he had not seen Allen recently, he remembered Allen as a borderline genius and super stable. Other people study hard, said the ex-teammate, who spoke on the condition of anonymity out of fear it could affect his career. He didn't have to study. It would just come to him. He was really, really smart. The former teammate said Allen was interested in coding and computers, but he was also a very good writer and seemed to be well versed in several subjects. Across the board, he was really knowledgeable, really curious, the ex-teammate said. The teammate said they lost touch with Allen once he went off to California Institute of Technology, a private research university in Pasadena, California, but expressed surprise that he would be the suspect in Saturday's attack. He was probably the most gentle person on the team, which makes it even more shocking that he did this, the ex-teammate said. According to his LinkedIn profile, Allen graduated from the California Institute of Technology, commonly known as Caltech, in 2017 with a bachelor's degree in mechanical engineering. The school confirmed it had a record of a student named Cole Allen who graduated in 2017. While he was a Caltech student, Allen was a member of the winning group of the 31st annual Mechanical Engineering 72 design competition, which involved building robots that could play soccer. In the 2016 competition, his 5-person group, Blitzkrieg Bots, competed against four other teams for the Tridroid Cup. Months later, Allen was featured in a local news report for developing a prototype emergency brake for wheelchairs. The wheelchair brakes tend to lock the wheels, but don't lock the chair to the ground. But with this device, that will prevent the chair from skidding at all, Allen told ABC7 in 2017. Outside the classroom, according to his LinkedIn, Allen participated in Caltech Christian Fellowship and Nerf Club. In the LinkedIn profile indicates he obtained his Master's of Science degree in computer science from California State University, Dominguez Hills in May of 2025. After graduating from Caltech, Allen worked for a year as a mechanical engineer before becoming an independent video game developer and later also a part-time teacher at C2 Education, a company dedicated for helping high schoolers get into college, according to the LinkedIn profile. In December 2024, C2 Education named Allen its Teacher of the Month. California State said it had a student by the same name who graduated from school last year. It could not confirm he was the suspect in Saturday's shooting, but said the school unequivocally denies this act of violence. We disavow. Such acts betray our values as a university and our commitment to fostering a safe environment for our campus communities, it said. The same year, Allen donated $25 to Act Blue with the memo earmarked for Harris for president, according to Federal Election Commission filings. In the donation, he listed his occupation as teacher for C2 Education. Dylan Wakayama, president of the Asian American Civics Trust, told NBC News that Allen tutored one student who volunteers at his Torrance-based nonprofit, as well as the sibling of another. They described him as someone who was very intelligent, Wakayama said. They never would have expected this. The student who received tutoring from Allen told Wakayama that she had met with him recently as of April 14th, and there were no signs that anything was amiss. It's been that recent, she texted Wakayama Saturday night, according to him. Bio, math, English, science, literally everything. He's so smart. She added in a text, according to Wakayama. According to LinkedIn, Allen began working as a self-employed indie game developer in September of 2018 and appears to have released an atomic fighting game called Bodrum, which I think it's boredom. I don't know. I gotta be honest. I'm not a big fan of the name. On Steam that year. In a trailer for the game, according to Wired, it is described as a non-violent, skill-based, asymmetrical fighting game loosely based on a chemistry model that is itself loosely based on reality. And I'm sorry, that kind of feels like a snoozer. But hey, we're not here to talk about his game development, by all means. Paul Thompson, one of Allen's neighbors, said Allen lived with his parents and rode a blue moped around the area. He said Allen was not necessarily friendly, but he hadn't noticed anything off about him. He added that Allen's parents are nice, friendly people, and that the father especially knows everybody. Records show that Allen purchased a Maverick 12 shotgun in August of 2025 and an Arms Corps Precision 38 semi-automatic pistol in October of 2023. A senior law enforcement official tells NBC News those were the two weapons they recovered from Allen on Saturday night. In the interview with law enforcement, Allen's sister confirmed he purchased 2 handguns and a shotgun from CAP Tactical Firearms and kept them stored at their parents' home, according to a senior administration official. She added that their parents were unaware that Allen was keeping firearms in the home. Allen regularly went to a shooting range to train with his firearms and was part of a group called the Wide Awakes, the sister said in the interview. According to the official, his sister said he attended a No Kings anti-Trump protest in California at some point. Allen displayed his firearm knowledge in the note to his family, writing about the type of ammunition he would use in order to minimize casualties. Janine Pirro, U.S. Attorney for Washington, D.C., said the suspect will be charged with 2 counts of using a firearm during a crime of violence and a second crime of assault on a federal officer using a deadly weapon. She added that many more charges were expected to be filed. Late Saturday night local time, the FBI and Secret Service were at a home believed to be associated with Allen in Torrance, a city around 140,000 residents in California South Bay, about 15 miles southwest of downtown Los Angeles. The FBI executed a search warrant related to the incident, said Bill Asaley, I'm still fucking his name up, first assistant U.S. attorney for the Central District of California. Saturday's shooting rocked attendees of the White House Correspondents Association dinner, an annual event attended by the Washington Press Corps, presidential administration staffers, and celebrities. Trump had attended the dinner before he first became president, but skipped it throughout his first term. Saturday was the first time he attended as president, and was accompanied by First Lady Melania Trump. They and others were seated at the front of the ballroom when video captured what sounded like at least 5 loud bangs before armed officers rushed in and hauled the president, First Lady, Vice President J.D. Vance, and others away while other attendees ducked down under tables. I heard a noise and sort of thought it was a tray. I thought it was a tray going down, Trump said from the White House briefing room Saturday night after the shooting. Melania was very cognizant, I think, of what happened, the president said. I think she knew immediately what happened. She was saying, that's a bad noise. All right, so yeah, I figured we'd just read the whole fucking thing. I know it's pretty long. Sorry about that. But at least this gives us a full kind of picture of what this, guy was up to, who he was. I feel like, obviously, now we're just kind of speculating. Actually, let me drink some water. I'm thirsty as fuck. I don't think this is going to be a situation where you're going to see, mental health mentioned or used in any kind of legal capacity. I don't think there's going to be any kind of insanity thing. I think to some extent there was a level of preparation, planning, saying, hey, I don't know when I'm going to do something, but I'm going to do something. So yeah, I mean, obviously I don't support this kind of thing. I get it. I get how you can kind of get to a point where you just want to snap and say, hey, enough's enough. I'm sick of seeing this shit. I'm sick of living in a world where this is going to keep fucking happening. But regardless, even if he was going to get in there and hurt and kill anybody, it was not going to make any kind of worthwhile real change. So it just would have been killing somebody and, potentially hurting a lot of people who have nothing to do with anything. So yeah, I don't know. I really don't know how I feel about this kind of shit. It's unfortunate that this is the tension. This is the atmosphere that we are just living in. Where it's like it feels like every year, every other year, there's some kind of assassination or potential assassination of a political figure or political figures. We really are living in quote unquote crazy times. But I don't know. I don't know. But yeah, I felt like it was a relevant update. Felt like it was worth reading the whole thing. So thanks for bearing with me. Let's move on to our last story of the day. Let's go ahead and take our last break and we'll close it out. Excuse me. All right. From the Associated Press. A small plane crash near Minneapolis kills North Dakota state legislator. There we go. And the pilot. A small plane crashed just after taking off from Crystal Airport north of Minneapolis on Saturday, killing a North Dakota state legislator and the pilot, authorities said. North Dakota State Representative Liz Conmy of Fargo was killed in the crash. Her colleague, State Senator Tim Mathern, told the Star Tribune. The North Dakota Democratic Nonpartisan League Party, an affiliate of the National Democratic Party, confirmed Conmy's death in a social media post, calling her a champion for public education, the environment, and transparency. We are completely heartbroken and gutted by the loss of Representative Liz Conmy. Her death is a profound loss for our state, the party said in a post on X. Officers responded to a report of a small airplane crash at 11:51 a.m. and found an aircraft that had crashed and caught fire in a park in the city of Brooklyn Park, Minnesota, shortly after taking off. Brooklyn Park Police Inspector Matt Raby said. Raby said the plane crashed shortly after taking off. He wouldn't say how many people were on the plane. The Federal Aviation Administration said in a statement that 2 people were aboard. The National Transportation Safety Board said it is investigating a crash involving a Beech F-33A airplane and expects investigators to arrive at the scene soon. So yeah, obviously very unfortunate story. Anyone passing away, it's unfortunate. You see someone who's trying to do good in the world, and they're really just either doing some kind of transport, maybe it was for a hobby, I don't know, and and that's the last time you see him. That's the last time you hear about him. So obviously condolences there. If I get any more details, probably circle back to the story. But that's all I have for today. That is gonna be the episode. It's Sunday, so I don't like shilling. So thanks so much for tuning in. Thanks so much for being a friend, and hopefully I see you soon for some more good news. I love ya. Bye bye. Mwah.